how Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 changed since the official trailer. Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 was a way longer chapter than the first one we played, and honestly, the hype from the trailer was definitely delivered on. The atmosphere of Playtime Co. was both charming and terrifying, but going into the game, it was very clear that some things had changed. And now that I've gone through the game multiple times, I thought it would make sense to document what we got versus what we saw. So this is everything that changed in the game since the trailer was released. And if you love content like this, consider subscribing to this channel right now, so you can see my videos as soon as they come out. As the trailer plays, the first real environment we see is the game station. But this game station is completely stripped down compared to the one we see in-game. There isn't an upper platform where you hit switches to open doors, and the train itself has a completely different model up front. The trailer's train doesn't have a door we can go in, nor does it have the green hand button above it. The game station sign is completely gone too. In my original trailer breakdown video, I was excited by the prospect of going into the train, and I was happy to see we were able to do it in the final build. The game station we got in Chapter 2 feels massive, and way more detailed than the one in the trailer, as there are plenty of things to go and do within it. The next shot in the trailer shows a player looking up, which is excellent foreshadowing, since that's the room where Mommy Longlegs takes her hand from us. And speaking of hands, it looks like the way the green hand was acquired used to be different too. I understand they don't want to spoil anything in the trailer, and thus might create shots just for the trailer, but the player does just casually pick up the green hand off a conveyor belt. This is of course in comparison to us making the hand in the normal chapter. Next up we have musical memory. And while we can't see much of the musical memory area, it looks like originally that maybe the screens were lit up already when we were going inside. Currently, the room is deactivated and dark inside, but in the trailer, it appears that the game was set up and ready to go. Next in the trailer, we see that the room we made the green hand in does have the power locks in the same place, since this is what you do in Chapter 2. These things did not change, but when we get to musical memory, Bunzo Bunny isn't above us. It actually used to be Daisy that lowered down upon us if we lost. I'm wondering why they made this swap. Bunzo was a nice addition, but I'm really curious what role Daisy will now play in the game. Next up we have the toy reject room, and the lighting is different. There doesn't appear to be a crane system on the ceiling either, and Bron isn't in the usual spot. Also, speaking of Bron, but in the other trailer he could turn his head. Bron in Chapter 2 is basically a statue and doesn't do so. The poor lad had his big spooky moment taken away from him. Now, when it comes to Pj Pugapiller, they didn't even exist in the trailer. They were originally just a weird blue caterpillar. I have to say, I love the new design of Pj, and I think it adds a lot to this particular challenge. The room also seems way brighter, and the jungle gym seems different in the trailer. When we get to Huggy Wuggy, I can totally see why they changed this. It looks like you originally had to knock Huggy Wuggies out of the upper walls and the ceiling. It doesn't look like Mommy Longlegs had a room up above either, as the ceiling holes go all around, which would mean there probably wasn't a place for the room. I honestly think this would have made Huggy Wuggy more difficult, because it would have meant you need to cover more of the room. The increased distance between the holes and the bigger area they could appear in on the ceiling would mean this minigame would have been harder. The cavern shots are similar, but when we arrive at Mommy Longlegs, she appears way more polished in the trailer than she is in the game. She's more shiny and looks like plastic compared to her more exaggerated, thin, and rubbery appearance in the actual second chapter. I wonder why they made this change, because I actually did like the polished look of her in the trailer. But with this, the trailer comes to a close. So the Chapter 2 we got definitely built upon a lot of these concepts. But now that you've seen a comparison, do you like the changes or not? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers!